I want to transition for a few minutes here to a game that we both played this week, and that is Star Wars Battlefront 2 that we jumped into for our weekly Wednesday stream. The reason why we jumped into it is that a lot of people, it just became more available all of a sudden, and Epic Games released it for free for like a weekend or something like that. And apparently during that time when they released on Epic Games Store, it got 19 million downloads for the game. So it's kind of like a resurgence. And I had talked about this game, I think, on the podcast back when it first came out. And for those who don't remember, like this was the game that kind of like started the whole heavy controversy, not only towards EA, but just games in general around microtransactions and how they were really closely getting to the point of trying to make pay to win microtransactions. And this game had those. Like when it launched, it had pay to win microtransactions. You had to pay way too much money to buy heroes to play as. Like all these things were just like heavily pay to win. And the internet freaked out, backlash, everything. EA did not have a good time living through that. It gave them a bad name for sure for a long period of time. Still to this day, I think it haunts them in a way. But they did go back on a lot of those things. What were we gonna say?
They were saying that. Well, people were saying that with the
Jedi Fallen Order or Squadrons.
No, Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah. Sorry, not Squadrons. That's they were trying to make it up to the fans, be like, "Hey, look, here's something. Don't hate us anymore."
Yeah. That's
maybe not, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the messaging definitely shifted because when they were messaging Jedi Fallen Order, it was like, this is a single player only game. There's no microtransactions. There's none of that. It's just a single player game, and that's what you get. And it helped a little bit, but this game definitely put a lot of sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And now, like, none of that stuff, like all the cards that you get used to be something that you basically either had to unlock through lots of hours of play, or you could pay money to get those cards that enhance your abilities. And now they're all part of the game pack. And all the heroes are available to you at the beginning of the game, which used to be you had to literally either play forever to get those heroes, or you could pay it was like $10 to unlock a hero. It was expensive. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lot of money. So now we played it. We jumped into it with our buddies and tried it out. And what were your first impressions of it after not having played it for so long, Austin?
I liked it. Like I actually jumped back into it maybe a year ago, like in 2019 for a little bit. And, back then a lot had already changed as well, and it gotten better. And, we've heard some positive things back then as well. And jump back into it. It's the only kind of crazy Star Wars Battlefield type game there is. So it's like, I enjoy it. There's a lot of cool places to go to that are in the movies that that get flushed out in many ways. And I like being in those battles, and it's epic. And there are some flaws with it for sure, but I think for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Like, I hope you play it some more.
Yeah.
And it's easier to level up stuff. Like, you just, as you progress in the game and you level your main level, you get these points to spend to upgrade your cards. And those cards, like, I think there's like 4, like you start off with, gray, which is common or whatever. And then you go green, purple, or blue, and then purple. And, those are locked.
Yeah, there's 4 tiers to each card.
Yeah. And they're locked by your level. They're not locked under like these crazy restrictions that they had before. So it's much easier to get through, like, feel like you're progressing.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I didn't realize when I was playing it originally because I first played on the PS4, and now I'm playing on PC, and it's as you're playing the game, it's like a Battlefield game. You have your different classes you can choose from. You have teams. One of the big ones that they have, the big game mode, is called Supremacy, and it's got 40 players, and it's kind of a tug of war, kind of like Grand Operations was in Battlefield 5, where you are going after each other, and one team has an objective to attack, the other team has an objective to defend, and if you break through their defenses and you go into the next phase of the attack, and then you continue forward, but then if you lose that attack, then you go back to the previous phase, and it's a push and pull, which could take forever. Some of those games are super long, but then they have Global Conquest, I think, which I thought was going to be Capture the Flag Conquest, but it's actually it's like one objective that's a push and a pull, but it's not like you revert back or go forward or whatever. It's just that like it starts out like one of the ones when you're playing in what's the snowy map, Hoth.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're playing in Hoth, like you're pushing, you have an AT that is moving forward, and you have to defend the AT if you're pushing it forward, but the other team has to attack the AT and stop it from getting to their bunker. If it gets to the bunker, then it opens up the bunker, and you have to then attack 2 control points and blow them up, 3 control points and blow them up. And then after that, you have to then go and attack like 2 more things. And once you attack those, then it finishes the round and your team wins. So it's a little bit less of the cinematic craziness, but it still has kind of the same vibe of like it's a rush kind of game mode. And then they have like smaller matches like Blast that we were playing, which is like kind of a TDM kind of game type and stuff like that. But it's very Battlefield, and throughout the whole entire thing. Right. But I like the addition of you unlocking points as you're playing that you can use to purchase special heroes. So like you have your classes that you're upgrading as you're playing, but then you can get like by killing people and getting points or doing objectives, you get money to or points in the game to spend on planes or vehicles, or sometimes special like rocket classes, or even heroes with lightsabers and stuff like that. So like your traditional heroes you have in the Star Wars universe. And that's kind of an interesting system to be able to have access to those things. It's like kill streaks basically, but it's not based just around your kills. It's based around you doing all of the things. So objective based point capturing, all of that stuff will net you money to then spend to get unlockables. And I thought that was kind of an interesting, and those all have leveling systems to them too. So the vehicles or the heroes all have a leveling system and the card system tied into it. So there's a lot to do and unlock in this game.
Yeah. I still don't like that. I don't want the cards, because original Battlefronts didn't have cards. You just spawned in and, attacked. And I mean, this whole card system was a ploy in my mind, in my opinion, to, use those battle packs to get people to buy stuff.
Yeah.
And it really sucks. And, it'll probably continue to be there in the future, but I hope not.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to go in and kill people. Like, all these other things. Like, you go in and, yeah, someone's been playing way longer than you have, and they have all these, a really good loadout of these cars that add different things to your, attack or movement or whatever, or lower recharge time for some of your abilities, which is fine. And, yeah, you just get mopped.
I mean, it does give them a tactical advantage. Yeah. I mean,
it's like, no shit. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like that way in Battlefield 2. You get better guns with, better customizations. You can put a scope or, red dot sight, extra clip or grenade, underhand grenade launcher or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, that gives you an advantage. And yeah, you have to work up to that, but it doesn't feel as a slap in the face as this guy's just coming in there and just mowing everyone down with a few shots. God, fuck.
That is a good point, though. I didn't think about that, where it's like, I mean, you can get a card that will upgrade to increase your recharge rate of like one of your abilities that makes you be able to use that ability way more than the other team can. And that ability makes you stronger. Whereas in Battlefield, like the unlocks that you get, you have the red dot, you have some of the attachments for stabilization, but it's a very minor adjustments to your gameplay style. And then you can still kill somebody just as easily with a lower tier gun as you could with a higher tier gun. But in this one, it's like if you can fire, or if you can, there's one that when you're playing Assault, there's a gun that you shoot out and it pins to something, and then it creates like a sensor that spans out and reveals enemies in the area from that point. And you can upgrade that card to have a shorter recharge time. So that means you can do it more often, which basically gives your team a advantage in revealing enemy players faster, which is just, definitely unfair. So, I mean, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And I don't remember them having this either, but the gun, like outside of the gun that class starts with, the other ones have attachments that you can unlock over time. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
Yeah. So, those are milestones you have to hit. So I just feel like there's a lot of different things in there that, at least from outside looking in, not really going too deep into it, because that's not something I want to focus on. Like, it's just too much. I mean, it says milestones that you complete with that class, but what the fuck are their milestones? And like, do I just complete them while I play the game? Like, they do, yeah. I mean, that's how it kind of is designed. But then you have daily challenges that you can go and do. So it's like, are these daily challenges where I got to get like 50 headshots, at a time? And I remember Battlefield 3, 4. I won't talk about the last two because I think it's more similar to those. You just go, you play the game, and little by little you unlock stuff, and it's just like, yeah, I'm progressing, cool. Like, you use a gun that you really like, and eventually it unlocks a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of stick with that gun.
Well, it's so different now because like games like Battlefront are now being served with a different model where they're being served with like seasonal content where you can play for 4-month period, get really, really good, and unlock a bunch of stuff, but then it resets, and then everybody's back to square one. But now in this game, there is no reset. I mean, it's just like old school model of progression where it's like, you continue forward and you continue to unlock. And granted, like games like Apex and stuff like that, your progression isn't skill-based in any way. It's just giving you more cosmetics and more unlocks and stuff like that. So I think that is something that there still is a fundamental issue in this game, in that the more a player has played, the more things that they have at their disposal to defeat the enemy with. And that makes it more challenging overall. But one thing I do like about it is that they did a good job at capturing the essence of Star Wars across a lot of different like eras. It's like they have everything from like the prequels to the latest space games, and like all the heroes are in there, and it's just really cool to see all this different history of Star Wars. The map designs, I think, for the most part, are pretty good. Sometimes they're a little too tight and too like, I feel like there's too much chaos happening in a very small space that makes it just not fun. Like people just pile up at a door and they just fight back and forth at each other for a while until one kind of wins. But overall, though, it's really cool to see all these different worlds you can play in, and fight these bad guys and just be in the Star Wars universe in a Battlefield-like game and just blow stuff up.
The map design and the way it looks is phenomenal. It's always breathtaking. I remember when I couldn't, like, my computer could barely handle this. I'm using the same graphics card I had back then, and it's got to be running 60.
Yeah.
It's got to.
Mine was running 65, 70 on maxed out graphics, ultra everything. So
nice.
It was really smooth. And that was on the 34. That was on the ultra wide, settings too. So I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, a lot of fun. So I mean, if anybody wants to join us at Battlefront, hit us up and